everybody, this is Hammer Striker here. Today I've got a couple of Glocks on the table. I've got a Glock 26 and a Glock 19. Both of these are Gen 4 and both of them are chambered in 9mm. And we've done quite a few comparisons comparing a Glock to a Smith & Wesson or a Walther or many other guns. But we do get a lot of questions and comments about people that are trying to decide between the 26 and the 19. So they've already decided they want one of the two Glocks, and they're trying to decide which one of the ones is better for what they're trying to do. So today I'm going to show you some of the similarities and differences between them. Overall, being that they're both Glocks and the way Glocks are very consistent across their line, there's not a huge quantity of differences, and we do have full reviews on each of these guns. So I'm not going to go into a lot of details about the individual guns, really just focus on differences and similarities. So let's start with showing that we do have unloaded weapons. So we've got an unloaded Glock 26, and we've got an unloaded Glock 19. Now, one of the primary differences between these, of course, is the size, the overall dimensions. So on the Glock 19, it's 7.28 inches long, it's 4.99 inches tall, and it's 1.18 inches thick. Now the Glock 26 is the same thickness, but it's 6.41 inches front to back, so it's about 0.87 inches different, and it's 0.417 tall. And that's one of its big differences, is that shorter grip. So it's about 0.82 inches. Now 0.8 anything inches doesn't sound a lot until you're trying to hide this gun. You're going to conceal carry it, you're trying to hold it inside of a waistband or put it in a pocket. That 0.8 inches makes a big difference. So I'm going to show you for a real quick second. I'm going to put the magazines in each one of them and just hold them up next to each other. So if I go back to back with them, you'll see it's a significant difference, and that difference can make a difference if you're trying to, especially if you're trying to carry it in the pocket. And you'll notice the trigger guards are a hair different in their positioning, and that'll factor into play with the holsters. And then you can see the grip height difference. And the grip is the hardest part of the gun to hide when you're concealed carrying, especially inside the waistband. So that difference, well over a finger and a little bit over that, can really make the difference of being able to conceal the gun and effectively hide it. Of course, with that lowered height, you are giving up capacity. The factory magazine on the Glock 26 is 10 rounds. Now they do have a pinky extender version, and this is a +1, so that makes it 11 rounds. But one thing to consider is once you install that pinky extender version, you do start to give up that grip height difference. So that +1 round is getting me really close to the height of a Glock 19. Now you still have a little bit of a length difference, but before you do these pinky extenders for the main magazine, you might want to consider what it is you're trying to solve. One extra round. You can also get these in a +2. Now the Glock 19's factory magazine is 15 rounds. Now one thing you'll find about the Glocks is within caliber and being single or double stacks, of course the 43 wouldn't come into play, but all of the 9mm will accept the magazine that's meant for them, as well as the magazines for the next size up. So I can put the Glock 19 magazine in the Glock 26, and I can also do any of the other magazines like the Glock 17, which is 17 rounds, or the 32 round fun stick that's 31 + 1, and even the drums you can put on this. So within the line, I can even put this on the 19. Looks kind of a bit of a Frankenstein gun, but it works perfectly. So there is quite a bit of upward compatibility. You could, for example, conceal carry this gun inside the waistband with the flush mag in it, have a nice small compact package, and then have, let's say, a Glock 17 mag as your backup mag, and get significantly more capacity in the event you need to go to that next magazine. From a functionality perspective, they function the same. They've got the internal safeties, the split trigger, the airdrop safe weapon. Both of them come from the factory with the the standard Glock U-dot sights, which they're a love them or hate them. Some people absolutely despise the Glock sights, and other people really do like them. I happen to like them, and they do work well for me. And they are dovetailed at the back, and there's a screw at the front, so both of the sights are changeable. One thing you will notice when you look at the front profile, The Glock 26 is rounded. This is really meant to be a carry gun, and it's rounded at the front and designed to slide easier into a holster. This is a little more squared off, but it's still just as easy to holster. Now, as far as holding onto the guns and using them, with the Glock 26 with the flush magazine, you get a 2-finger grip. You can get a nice solid 2-finger grip, fits well, it's easy to control. I have no trouble controlling this gun easily, getting good follow-up shots, either one-handed or two. But you do get just 2 fingers, and you want to kind of make sure this one here doesn't press too much against the magazine. I usually either just have it out or curl it up under the magazine. And then the Glock 19, you've got really a full 3-finger grip. This one hangs off just a hair. Put the flush magazine in. But for all intents and purposes, unless you have a very large hand, you've got a full 3-finger grip. Disassembly on both these guns is the identical process, and I'll take them apart just to show size differences internally. So you verify it's clear, pull the trigger, give it a little squeeze, pull down on the tabs, and they come apart. Do the same thing with the 19. The internals are basically the same, just difference in size, a little bit of length difference. Both have the dual recoil springs. The barrel on the Glock 26 is 3.42 inches, and the barrel on the Glock 19, which is this one, is 4.01 inches. So you do have a slightly longer barrel in the Glock 19. The frames internally are roughly the same. Very minor differences. A lot of the trip fire control group and other components are interchangeable between the various guns. In this case, the locking block is a little bit bigger on the Glock 19, so they're not fully interchangeable. Now, there are some frame differences. You'll see that the Glock 19 has a single Picatinny rail slot. Put lasers, lights, and various other things on it. Now, it is only one slot, but pretty much every aftermarket device knows that it might end up on a Glock, and they've designed adapters and adjustments to be able to take advantage of that single slot. The 26 does not have any slots, so it's smooth. That's a bit of a disadvantage in that you can't easily hang most Picatinny rail accessories. However, the aftermarket's well aware of Glock, and there's things like this Crimson Trace rail guard that goes around the trigger guard, and of course it mounts flush. If I had it in there properly, there wouldn't be a gap, and activates with a little button here, so when you get a firing grip, the laser comes on, and it's kind of automatic, the laser comes on. So there's lots of ways to put lasers and lights on the Glock 26 simply because the aftermarket support is so broad. I'm going to go ahead and put these things back together and talk about holsters a little bit. Of course, very easy to put back together. You just line them up, cycle them, and you're back in business. There's quite a few holsters out on the market. There's DeSantis Nemesis, put the Glock 26 in it. This basically is my EDC setup. The Glock 26 with this Crimson Trace laser guard in this DeSantis Nemesis holster drops right into a pocket. You've got Remora makes holsters that will fit like the Glock 19. And there are a number of inside the waistband and outside the waistband holsters that are available, such as Kydex. Now, one thing you will find is this difference in profile from the front does make it where the Glock 26 and Glock 19 Kydex holsters are not always interchangeable. So, for example, here's a Glock 26 Kydex holster, retained on the trigger guard. And this one has the locking mechanism up above, away from the trigger guard. So if you get in a panic and you jam it, when your finger slams up against the gun, it's going to slam against the gun, not into the trigger. So you're very unlikely to get in a panic and jam it and jam your finger in and pull the trigger. But you'll find that the Glock 19 doesn't fit. It goes in, but it won't lock. And then if I take this DeSantis for the Glock 19, sorry, not a DeSantis, a IWI, it locks in place. The Glock 19 fits in it, same basic functionality. But the Glock 26 won't even go in far enough to start to lock. So there are some differences in holsters. So if you do decide that you're going to, let's say, solve the problem by buying both, which is what we did, you may have to get two holsters, one that fit the 26 and one to fit the 19. But that's a minor issue between the two, and both of them are very versatile. So from the standpoint of which would you get, some of that really comes down to your own personal opinion. If you're wanting to carry in the pocket, you're wanting the smallest of the double stack Glocks, this is it right here. This gun rides out with me pretty much every day, and if it doesn't, it's one of the single stacks because of what I'm wearing. The Glock 19 is real versatile. It's not a pocket gun. I mean, you can do it, but it's really not a pocket gun, so that you are kind of limited to inside the waistband. But it's fun at the range, it's comfortable at the range. That full-size grip and a little bit more capacity makes it where it's also suitable for nightstand, pretty much anything you want to do. If you're going to buy just one, you need to compromise and you're willing to give up pocket, this is the one to do it with. If pocket's a necessity, and it is for me, that's how I carry most of the time, then the Glock 26 goes from the pocket, into and inside the waistband or on the nightstand. So it kind of gives you the best of both worlds. Overall, that's kind of the differences and similarities between them. Hopefully that was helpful information if you've kind of settled yourself on a Glock and you're trying to decide between the 26 and the 19. Gives you a little bit of information to work with. Both of them tend to routinely be found around the $549-ish territory for the Gen 4, so the price is roughly the same in most cases. So if you happen to like our videos, please give us a thumbs up, share, subscribe, and check us out on Facebook. And one last thing, if you're a member of GSSF, you get a very significant discount on these Glocks. If you're into Glocks and you enjoy competition shooting for fun, that's a good organization to check out, and the discount's kind of a side benefit. Other than that, thank you and have a great day.